And Caesar's spirit, raging for revenge, with 8 by his side, come hot from hell, shall in the confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc and let slip the hogs of war. Wait, what? Worms. Who doesn't like worms? I'm not exactly a huge fan of strategy games myself, but there's just something about Team 17's tactical multiplayer game that is so appealing. Maybe it's the humorous presentation, maybe it's the easy to play, difficult to master nature of the gameplay, maybe it's the schadenfreude of blowing up your friends, maybe it's Maybelline. Regardless, I'm yet to encounter any true Worms haters, but ask anyone what their favourite Worms game is, and they're likely to say Worms United, Worms 2, Worms Armageddon, Worms Revolution, heck, even Worms World Party had its time in the sun as a superior entry in the series. But I'd wager nobody picks Worms 3D or Worms 4 Mayhem, as the game series, while offering a decent attempt, just didn't translate into 3D that well. Camera issues, weapons with feeble splash damage, and tricky controls compared to the simplicity of the 2D games. So there's not really a truly great 3D Worms game, is there? Well, actually yes there is, and ironically it arrived 3 years before Worms 3D, and what's more, it came from Sheffield, just an hour's drive down Tut Road from Team 17's headquarters in West Yorkshire. In the summer of the year 2000, Infogrames Europe published Hogs of War, developed by Infogrames Studios Sheffield House. It apparently sold well enough to gain a PS1 Classics re-release in America, 2 budget re-releases in Europe, and a digital release on the North American PlayStation Network store. However, despite this, I still think it gets unfairly swept under the carpet and ignored by Worms fans, which is hogwash. So I'm going to tell you why this game is not an absolute bore. Lights! As the intro shows, the storyline behind this game is that you're taking command of a squadron of pigs during the First World War as they go to do battle in Australasia in the South Pacific Ocean, a part of the world that is rich in swill. Thank God this is fictional and we don't live in a world where wars are fought over land rich in specific natural commodities. It's your job to take control of the various regions, including Hogshead, Belliopolis, and, Austria. Or alternatively, you can just play against your friends or the CPU in multiplayer mode.
Take that, you rotter!
So the most prominent thing to note about the game is its sense of humour, and I'm not talking about the abundance of pig puns or the use of the Liberty Bell March in the menus, aka the Monty Python theme tune.
Please be quiet, I'm trying to concentrate!
Aside from the fun of blowing up your mates, the majority of laughs you'll get will be courtesy of the voice work, most of which is provided by the one and only, late great Rick Mail.
I won't be needing this anymore! At your cup. I think you did it on purpose because you know I've got a runny bottom.
Thanks, bridesmaid. Like the beard. Gives me something to hang on to.
No panties. No panties. Tell me what is going on? What do you mean you can't hear?
Oh.
Can I ask where your eggs come from?
Hens' vaginas.
It's just like the real thing and my wife loves it. Right, darling? Hi. You.
Rick not only provides the voice of the major pig who instructs you in the tutorial,
Guns and bombs and knives and with your bare hands like
but also voices the stage announcer
When you're in charge of the Reds, they're so bad they should be called the Browns.
and most of the pigs themselves.
Oh, observe how well-made weapon operates!
Since each team is based on a major country involved in World War I, there are a lot of stereotypical accents and voices to be heard.
We do not like you at all one bitty bit.
Potentially offensive if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, but I'd say it's no worse than the Punch-Out games.
Schnell! Schnell!
Plus, all sides get the piss taken out of them. Hurrah for equal rights.
You guys shoot me next, da? Haha! Niet, 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 baby.
There's the British team, the German team, the American team, the Japanese team, the French team, and the Russian team. An additional feature is that each pig within the team has his own voice. So, as an example, on top of the stiff upper lip accent you'd associate with Tommy's Trotters, you'll also hear pigs from the West Country.
I don't like foreigner.
Get off my lawn!
It's so tempting just to fill the review with audio clips of Rick Mayo and leave it at that. Hell, that'd do a better job of marketing the game than Sony did back in the day. But let's talk about the rest of the game. While the single player campaign isn't the main focus of the game, you can tell effort's gone into it. 27 levels make up the campaign, and as you go through you'll earn gold medals that you can use to promote each of your pigs. You'll be able to choose specific classes for them: heavy weapons, engineer, espionage or medic, and then increase their ranks to gain access to more tools and weapons. You also earn bonus medals for beating stages without losing a pig, so you'll want to play to the best of your ability in the early stages to help you later on. The difficulty curve is smooth. Early stages feature fairly stupid pigs that will make mistakes, but the later stages become very hard. You'll face off against elite troops and commando pigs, and sometimes you'll be sneaking into enemy bases, and sometimes the odds will be heavily stacked against you. Which brings me to the level design. There is a lot of variety in the level layouts, with hills and valleys, bridges and islands, and some wacky areas in the multiplayer levels such as a lumpy quilt or the surface of the moon. You can even play on randomly generated levels, so you'll potentially get a different experience every time, which is great for replay value. But how does it play? Well, for the benefit of anyone who hasn't played Worms before, each team takes it in turns to use various artillery against the opposition, and can freely navigate the environment within a set turn time, usually a minute. The controls can feel a little stiff and clunky at first, but you'll quickly get accustomed to them, particularly as the game supports analog control, which is a lot more comfortable than using the D-pad. Typical weapons can involve aiming through a scope, adjusting the angle of launch, or selecting a firing strength by holding down the fire button. You'll also be able to use tools such as jetpacks, hide to remove your pig's marker from the map, infect enemies with poison gas, heal your teammates, even take control of turrets with heavy artillery. Despite not having the same craziness as some of Worms' weapons, so no sheep, banana bombs or concrete donkeys here, there is more than enough variety with the weapons to find your own playing style.
Hey, the garlic chomping navy blues seem to have this one sewn up. Good work.
You'll soon become more of a strategic thinker when it comes to how you approach battles. Should I sacrifice some health to swim across that river to get into a better position? Should I use a melee weapon to knock that pig into a minefield? Should I risk jetpacking over there to that health crate? And once you start thinking more deviously like this, it's when the game truly starts to shine. However, it's not all glowing praise. While there are musical stings that play when an enemy CPU takes control, which are also themed by country, there are only a couple of music tracks you'll hear throughout the game, and while what's there is great, after the 50th multiplayer game you'll be yearning for something else. Also, the graphics, while they are bright and colourful and feature visually appealing cartoony animation of the pigs, are rather simplistic. The PlayStation had already been out for over 5 years at the time this came out, and there were other games on the market that looked so much better. The visuals haven't exactly aged well, with some environments looking a little sparse and bland. Or should that be pigling bland? And while I don't remember this happening while playing the game via PS1 or PS2, there were a couple of instances I encountered slowdown, and not dropping a few frames slowdown, I mean almost freezing slowdown. If it wasn't for the sound continuing in the background, I would have thought the game had crashed. I mean, Jesus, come on, how am I supposed to win like this? Now this may be a side effect of playing the game on a PS3, but seeing as how a lot of people will be using the same means to play the game today, It pains me, but I do have to take this into consideration. So with all that in mind, Hogs of War, while it is a fantastic game, thanks to a few niggling technical flaws, gets 4 bacon sandwiches out of 5. Although if I was just reviewing the voice work, it would be an easy 5. Rest in peace, Rick. Rest in peace.
Hey, never mind, it's not the end of the world. Well, actually, it is. Ha 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 ha!